ever since I tuned up this front truck and got these different bushings in it and everything else, I've been getting some pretty bad wheel bite. So I've got one task for today, and that is to try to sand in some wheel wells. So let's get to it. So what I've done is I've loosened up the truck almost completely. The kingpin is, finger tight. It's not even into the nylon at the moment. And so that allows me to torque out the trucks and lean them all the way. And I'm going to try to draw a line to follow the straight of the trucks. So I'm just trying to get a straight line, and I'm actually just turning the wheel and using that to kind of get a straight. And then I got to mark kind of with a T the point at which the board is, or the wheel is touching the deck. And I'm trying to use a white paint pen so you can see. Yep, but I don't. Oh yeah, now it's working. The T is right. Yep, right there about. Okay, so now I've got that marked. I can take. Got it overly marked there. Now I've got it marked. I can take the truck completely off, and those will be my reference points for actually lathing the thing out. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to mark a center line. I think I'll do it with pencil. Pencil will probably show up a little bit. Sharpie's a little iffy, but pencil's reflective enough to see, yeah? Yeah. Let's make a noise. Okay, so now I've got to mark the center line. I'm going to use a pencil because I do not like how thick those lines are. So these are going to be half, so about 3/4 inches there. And I'm just going to do a straight line all the way to the other end of the board. So let's see. So here's my center line. And I want to figure out, so this line here should be perpendicular to this straight line I drew from the wheel, as should this one. And it should take me to the same spot on the middle of the board, which it does. So that's good. So this is the line I want to be following with my sanding. I'm going to be sanding lined up with that line, but I'm not going to be doing it flat. I'm going to be doing it at an angle. And to figure out that angle, it's let's see, the height, the roll axis of the truck is measuring from the rear 2 1/4 inches tall. So that's basically the height of where it's pivoting in line with the axle. It's about this high. So I have to figure stuff out. So what I need to do is I need to take that measurement of the roll axis height, which is the 2 1/4, and I've got to subtract to that the diameter basically of my wheel. This is the drum that's going to be sanding the relief. I'm going to take away from the radius of that from 2 1/4, which leaves me with about 3/4 inches. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to tape down a 3/4 inch rail, and as I sand, that'll be my stop. That'll set the angle of the sanding drum. So all I've got to do is keep the drum aligned with this line and have it setting on the stop, and that should get me a perfect wheel well. Ideally. I don't think it's going to turn out that way, but that's what I'm going to try. So let's do something with that. So getting a riser on the center line is real easy because I can just use a 3/4 inch of plywood and just use some double-sided tape and stick it on there. And that should be it. Now, if I could just figure out a way to make it so this was staying aligned with that. And I've got to check if this will even fit on the sander without interfering somewhere. Let's see. So, it turns out that the tabletop for the oscillating drum sander is too big. It blocks me from getting the angle I need on the drum, and the tabletop isn't removable, so that's kind of annoying. So I can't get the angle I need on the oscillating sander, so I'm going to be going with this thing. I could also go and take the drum and stick a rod through it and center it and put it on a drill and use a drill to make a stationary little, put the drill in the vise sort of thing, and use that as a spindle like I'm using this one. But I'm just going to use this one because this will still oscillate, and this is really aggressive, so it'll be really fast. However, it also throws a lot of dust my way, so I'm going to have to make sure I'm zipped up all the way, and I'm going to have to put a respirator on, or at least a face mask, and some hearing protection, and probably even some goggles over my glasses so I don't get completely covered with sawdust. So here we go. Let's try this out. Okay, so how it's going to be working is I've extended this white line here out the side, and I can see it marked on, for me, the top. I've marked the center from here, and I can see that right here from the top. And so I'm going to have to be holding this, trying to keep this line vertical as I hold it on the sander. I've got to be making sure that the center of the contact point on the sander lines up with that line on the bottom and with this line on the top, making sure I'm not sanding into the center block and only on the side. So let's see how that goes. I think it looks pretty good. You can kind of tell it's kind of got a double line going, but that's fine. I think that should be, I'm cutting pretty close. I think that should be plenty. This drum is wider than any wheel I'll be riding, so that's nice. Knowing that shouldn't be a problem wheel size. I've dug into the top a little bit on the rail, but that's fine. Let's try this other one. I got a lot more into the center of this one, but I just started freehanding it after that. That should be pretty good. Let's tip the trucks on. Oops. Put the trucks on and see if that lines up the way I'm hoping it does. Let's check it out. All right, so putting this truck back on, I've got the drill set up and I've got the clutch set really low. I want to use a drill that's got a clutch, if you're ever using a drill, and not an impact gun. An impact gun is designed to, when it hits, resistance, to basically hit that resistance like a hammer and drive the screw or whatever you're using in. And the clutch is the exact opposite. It allows it to slip once it reaches a set resistance, and that allows you to not over tighten your trucks. You really want to try to get to the final tightness by hand if you can. So that's just my quick little tip for today. I'm just using one of these sort of things for the ends because I don't have a skate tool, and then the board doesn't stand up on its own, so I'm sitting next to it. That's good. And so what I'm going to do is, because I'm using the clutch, the trucks aren't going to be completely tight. So when I get them on there, since these are kind of sloppy trucks, the holes for the hardware are oversized and it can move around a little bit. So before I tighten it down all the way, I'm actually going to make sure the trucks or the board is rolling straight, because that really bugs me sometimes when when it turns really badly because the trucks are on crooked or something like that. All right, so that's as tight as I'm going to do them for now until I'm actually done, and I'll take the time. See, I can move this by hand and rotate it a couple degrees, and that's enough to make it right. Well, it might be enough to keep it going straight. So, all right. So this is the better of the two sides, but they're both pretty good. They're both really close. So if I push that down all the way, the trucks aren't loose yet, or aren't tightened down yet. You can push that down, and you can't even see how good the clearance is on it because the camera. Yeah, but it's nice. So that's pretty good. So now I've just got to tighten down the trucks to the point where they won't get wheel bite now, and that should be a lot easier with so much relief. That's a good amount of relief cut. And I was thinking about painting them black, but I think I'll just leave it like that. I might put some clear coat on it or something. A little more. Oops. All right, let's try that. I can still get wheel bite, but that just means at this point I need to change the bottom bushing. I put that cone in just for that other video, and it's just not going to work. It needs to be a barrel. But if I can keep it leaning almost as far as this, just so I don't get wheel, just enough so I don't get wheel bite is what I want. Because I love being able to carve and turn so much. It's very nice. So yeah, because I just kept getting wheel bite, and I was scared to carve it up, especially going fast. So this will be a huge sigh of relief. I just got to swap that barrel back in. I probably, at some point, I might do something on the rear. The rear doesn't need it as much because you can see it's got the profile where it's got the wider front and the narrower rear. So there's not as much space for it to bite in the rear. But, and also the rear is stiffer because that's where a lot of the stability comes from, is from the rear. Turning from the front, stability from the rear. But I might at some point want to have it running a little looser. And if I do that, then I'll probably sand just a tiny bit into the rear. And it won't be as much trouble because the board's narrower there. I can actually do it on the oscillating drum table. So there we go. There's my tuned Teamgi electric board that can now carve like a beast. All right, so I figure I might as well show you how I tune the board to make sure it's going straight. So I just find a place with nice smooth pavement. Inside a garage or driveway is often a good choice. Here, inside the shop, is a really good choice. And I just line up the board, make sure it's pointing the way I want it to go. Give it a push. And if it turns not the way I want it to go, because the front truck's a little loose, I'm able to just give it a little bit of a tap. Try again. Push a little harder this time. Let's see. Oh, see now I've overdone it. Now it's totally going to the left. Hard. So I'll just do that a couple times. Just one little tap. That's pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll just leave it there. Grab my tools. And being careful not to disrupt it too much, I will give them a good tightening down. Perfect. Now that should be set to stay going straight. Very good. Longboard technology, over and out.